Hey, stupid, you're ugly, you stupid bitch. How did that make you feel? If your answer was not good, then you are like most people, because I think I can speak for most of the world when I say, and by the way, Jonathan, my co-host here, he's nodding at me. That is his name, Jonathan.
Yeah, feeling the pain of that. That hurt to hear.
Yeah, I think most people would agree that that's a bully. The behavior of a bully. When I called Jonathan, when I just called you stupid and ugly and poor, and what else did I call you? I can't remember. But whatever I described you as, I said that I was being a bully right there, and I felt it, and it wasn't easy for me to do. And Jonathan, I think we should talk about this on this episode.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And Jonathan, I'm sorry, I don't think any of those things about you. I think that you're a wonderful human being, and I think that...
well, that just erases all the pain.
Well,
thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm here to help, and that's what I do. Guys, I just have to say, I am an extremely lucky podcast host today, because I have not just one of the best ever wrestlers on this episode, but one of my greatest and closest friends. We even, our consciousnesses have switched bodies several times. So we've literally lived in each other's lives for here and there. But guys, wow. I would like to welcome, without any further ado, the very professional wrestler, Sammy Guevara, everyone. The best ever. Let's throw in a round of applause in post. We'll throw in
all right. Joining the crowd.
Sammy, tell everyone who doesn't know who you are why they should be ashamed.
Just be ashamed because you're not me.
How did that make you all feel? If the answer is not good, Sammy.
No, what I want to say is
you just hurt all our listeners.
You didn't say poor a second ago. You just said like fucking something. Then you added poor. So now I'm starting to think maybe you think that.
Okay,
I felt that too.
Listen, Sammy. I in this show we try to make me look like a good person.
Okay.
So I don't like what you're insinuating.
We can edit it out.
We can edit this out.
Bully Sammy into the correct behavior.
Yes. I didn't hear that, but tell the audience what you do. Tell them what is it that you... So a wrestler, what is that? You fight people for justice?
No, I fight them for money. You know, if you think WWE, that's pretty much what I do, but more like independent shows.
Is it a good job to take out anger when you do it?
Yes. The only problem is I take out that anger, and they're going to take out that anger back at me too.
Yeah. That's why you got to knock them out before they can get at you. You got to hurt. Do you enjoy knocking people? Have you knocked people out? Does that happen?
Occasionally, accidents do happen, and I've hurt others.
Oh,
Majority of the time, I'm the one that gets hurt, though.
Really?
Why is that?
Just people not doing stuff correctly.
Are you sensitive? Are you with sensitive feelings?
Do I have sensitive feelings?
Yeah.
No, I feel like in pro wrestling, you kind of have to have tough skin. You know,
you gotta let it just bounce off you. Like my friend Jinx says, water off a duck's back.
And I like the duck's ass thing.
Yeah. Duck's ass. I feel like that rolls off the tongue nicer.
Yeah,
I was going to say water off
it.
a duck's ass, but I think it's duck's back. I think that's how it goes. But anyways, regardless of which little zinger you decide to go with, I think that the point is you got to be bold. You got to be invincible in wrestling emotionally, I suppose, because they don't just harm your body; they're coming after your feelings.
Oh yeah,
when they talk shit about you in the ring.
That's funny. That's really true.
For instance, I did a show in 2016. The show didn't go as I'd like it to go, and it was very cold outside. It was outdoor shows in January, and I wrestle in little trunks,
and his ass looks amazing. They're usually glittered trunks with glitter in the plastic lining.
Little
great.
panda on the crotch.
Yeah, it's very revealing. I imagine it's cold.
Oh, very cold. So I wore a jacket in my entrance.
Oh, gosh.
And then someone on Twitter was like, this guy sucks. And plus, the jacket is not a good look. Like, just kind of bashed me. And then there were so many good comments, but just seeing the one that's like just stuck out, I was like, oh,
Isn't that messed up? That's not right. It's not right to do that to yourself. It's not right to do that to people. But
that's very mean. Honestly, I think that your clothes look great. And
yeah, first off, your clothes look great.
Welcome to this podcast, Sammy, where in this ring we make each other feel good.
Yeah.
I feel it.
This is a safe environment for feelings.
This is a safe environment for every feeling and every gender. And I want you to know, Sammy, that for those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of Sammy's, and we work together. If you guys haven't seen it, Helen Trains a Wrestler. Sammy Guevara shines like a diamond in this. And Jonathan, that was actually the first video that was
true,
you and
I. Post Magic Funhouse.
Post Magic Funhouse. That was a very special. And here we
you
are
didn't even
now.
know how special that was, did you, Sammy?
No,
it's super
that's
special.
when we all met.
That's well, I already met Jonathan, and I already liked him a lot more than you.
Yep.
But no, that was 2 years ago. You believe that shit? 2 years ago, almost
Time
2 years
flies.
ago. I can't believe it.
All
I
the
believe I'm at least 2 years
concussions
old.
later.
Really?
No.
Now, guys, when we were kids, going to school or wherever we did. Bullies. What was the first instance that either one of you remember getting picked on as a kid?
The very first one?
The very first time you were like, oh, that's not good to me. That's not nice for my feelings.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know. Oh, some kids... Shit. Wow, I just had a flash. Like, you know what's happening right now is I'm getting deeper and deeper flashbacks. I'm like, whoa, like 8,
Just all
7,
these
6, 5. Oh,
hellback memories.
Just call me
Like,
LSD Brandon.
I'm for real. Like, I haven't thought about this in years. The time of like neighborhood kids, like.
I just dug up some deep shit, and you heard it. You're hearing it here on Deep Balls Podcast first, folks. Jonathan's self-deprecating flashback is coming back to us, and we're here to witness it firdhand. Stay tuned.
No, for me, like just saying I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I was the littlest kid.
Yeah. When did that happen?
When I was like 10 or 11, I just saw it on TV, and I was like, "That's what I'm gonna do when I'm older." And I never really cared much for school. And so people would always be like, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to be a wrestler. And people would just say like the meanest stuff, Mm-hmm. Like, you're too small. You're not big enough. You're not buff enough. Like, it's 1 in a million. Yeah. But I always felt like, why can't I not be the 1 in a million,
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me.
Like, why would that 1 in a million, why would they deserve it more than you?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People don't, it's competitive, 1 in a million. And they don't think, well, that one person, they're a real person who were probably told the same odds.
Yeah. No one got there without it being a 1 in a million.
That's a very good mindset that I would like my viewers to take. If you take anything from this episode, just remember it's 1 in a million. What they don't tell you is that the other 999 are bullshit. They're assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's true.
But
it's true.
Anyways, sorry. Continue.
Yeah.
I digressed on your story.
Oh, no, basically that was just my mentality. Like, I had teachers, like my own brothers, I love them now. But to me, I used it all as like a driving force. Like, I wanted to do it for myself, but it's like, no, I want to show people that nobody truly knows the future, and so when someone says you can't do something, they don't know that for sure. Only you can like make that happen, and so that's kind of my mission. I'm not in WWE yet, but maybe a couple of years, who knows?
I know, and you will be.
Grind.
That's right.
You will be. You know what? You got to have because look how far you've come. I mean, when you were a kid, if your child self could see you now, oh my gosh, anything a bully could say to that kid, him or her, I don't know what gender you identify.
That's right. Don't assume, bro.
I'm not assuming it's 2019. But I imagine that child would be very pleased to see where you are flipping off and shit. Yeah. If you guys haven't seen these clips of Sammy, he flips and flies and he takes people out and he's busting people's heads open and there's blood and there's...
Oh, you know where you guys can go see that?
Where can they go watch that?
Sammy Guevara on YouTube, baby.
Who does YouTube?
I'm like the shameless promoter. Like I've literally stopped matches and just grab the mic and be like, okay, I got this guy where I want him, but just pull out your phones and go subscribe to my channel. All right, I'm going to go back to this.
But you know why it's not shameless? You know why it's why you do it? Because you got a product that you believe in. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of people who shamelessly self-promote don't necessarily believe in their product. They just want it out there. And I feel like I'm the same way. I very much believe in the product. And Jonathan, pretty much everyone that we know.
Yeah, we all care deeply about our product.
Whatever we're working on, especially if it's our own, you care very much for that. I got a full disclosure, I'm a little stoned, and I don't remember where I was going with this. Where were we going?
Sammy is legit. And awesome.
Sammy, oh, that's right.
Yeah,
oh, God,
keep
that was
putting me
it.
over.
Yeah, okay, well, I'm done with that. I've sucked your dick enough. This is my podcast.
But that's really interesting about about the resistance you encountered at a young age. Like when I was a kid, I was just like, when I was that age, I was like, I want to be a pilot, I think. And then people were just like, oh, cool, good choice. I had no problem. People weren't like, you cannot do that. Like I didn't deal with that as a young kid. That's a weird form of bullying. It comes from a friggin' authority figure.
Shut the fuck
up.
Parents have a unique, well, not parents, I shouldn't say a parent, any authority figure. It could be a teacher, a counselor, it could be anyone. Adults have a way of...
It'll blow your mind. Like you might be being bullied by an adult.
Yeah.
I think that's the less kids are not as aware of the adults bullying them because it's from a more trustworthy place.
Yeah, it takes till your teens to get mad at that.
To defend like the people who were telling me this, I feel like it was coming from a place of not so much they're trying to belittle my dreams, more like they don't want to see me become nothing. They don't want to see me just throw my life away. So they were like, at least focus on school and stuff. I mean, there was a few coaches and stuff like that who literally told my mom, like, at parent-teacher meetings, like, yo, he needs to grow up. Like, this stupid dream of his, like, literally told my mom this. Like, no, and my mom is, like, one of my number one supporters, And
funny. I imagine that coach, like, after that meeting, he goes in his locker and there's, like, an old luchador costume's like, no. Dramatically.
These days were over for me. Well, I think whether or not that was the case, I think we can all agree when I say I hope he has lost use of his legs by now. Yeah.
We can all agree on that.
Right.
And he did.
Yeah. But you know what? It's very adults have. When I was a kid, I had an aunt who was very mean. She's not the nicest person in the world, and she would always tell me the same thing. She said, she would tell me not to go after my dreams. She said, that's not safe. You need to do, and she was very supportive of my job at Best Buy. I was a cashier at the front lanes. And
it's every kid's dream.
Right. It's like she supported all the things I hated about my life. And she would, after a while hearing that, like, thank God she wasn't my mom or my main authority figure that I had to report to as a kid. Because
I don't know why, but thank God I didn't listen to her.
Thank God I didn't listen to her, but I did kind of listen to her, and I only saw her, thank God, at like family gatherings, and she would tell me these words of warning. But if that was my parent, maybe I would have actually believed it, and maybe I wouldn't have tried anything in my adult life to be anything other than a TV specialist. Now,
I don't want to live in that universe.
No, my God, and that is a universe that exists. You know what's crazy? I know this has nothing to do with bullying, but I just have to say, this is a thought I had the other night when I was driving. I thought about like just car accidents and death and how like quickly death can happen. And then I thought like what all the times we almost die, like if you almost get into an accident, like I always think in my head, how many universes did I actually die just now? How many, like all day long, at least once a day I have the thought, in what universe did that kill me? In what universe did that kill me?
Like 1 out of every 1,000 universes, or like 95 out of every 100?
Dude, I just had to say, I'm glad all three of us are alive and well today. But let's talk about the people we wish had been killed. Bullies. All right. So, bullies are... Jonathan, when did you first... When's the first memory that you can recall when someone bullied you?
I mean, I honestly don't know. Like, even for real, thinking about it, like, I feel embarrassed, like, not sharing, but, like, it's a little too horrifying and, like, bad that, like, I don't even want to talk about it. Like, this is real shit. This is real shit, you know?
Real stuff.
And then there's this tamer stuff where, like, people are just, like, pushing you around, like, starting fights or humiliating you, just trashing your stuff and just, like, belittling you and, like, making you feel that you don't have power in this situation.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the root of it, is, like, they are looking to have power over something. And it takes a long time to feel outside the person being bullied in that situation and be like, whoa, like that is a dark thing for them to be doing. And I've actually had a lot more compassion for bullies in my later years, where I'm like, I understand more probably what was happening in their horrifying life. Right. And I'm also decades removed from some of the instances, so I have more perspective. I'm like I've moved past it from the point of view of the victim, you know what I mean?
And what an enlightening thing to suddenly, it's like a gift almost to have that perspective.
Right. It really, really helps you get over it, where you're like, wow, you know who I feel worse for? The person who's so fucked up that this is what they went and did.
Yeah.
That they were like, I mean, not like it's okay, therefore, but just like that person lives in a world where they feel so powerless that they have to hurt people, and feel that power over them, and like that is a terrible life.
It's horrible. It's horrible.
That's like a way more loveless life.
Yeah, actually, I was talking to my therapist about it today, about people who have this mentality, and the people who are tyrannical. Is that the word?
Yeah.
You said that earlier, and I just went with it.
Yeah, okay. I was like, I think that's the word. But with the people who have that mentality are constantly in the dome of their own mind, miserable.
Yeah.
However they exude, you have to be miserable. Whether or not you hate yourself, depends on whoever it is. But you have to be miserable to exude negative feelings onto other people, and I think that's what you're exactly.
Like you give what you take. Like someone who truly doesn't love anything doesn't like. Also, if you don't love anything, you also don't believe that anything loves you.
Yeah,
right.
Like, and now you don't trust that anything loves you. Like, oh my God, what a terrible fucking world you live in. You really live in that world.
Yeah.
And there's the whole reap what you sow. Like you get the love that you make is the love that you take. Like
it's
there's like no love kind of happening for them, like maybe at home or whatever. And you kind of hear that, like the bullies, there's something happening else, but then they're like children, so they don't know how to deal with it. And unfortunately, it's like,
right. And it's like, what, like they're less mature. They're less like, they're just more childlike. They're stuck. Yeah. They're stuck way back there. Like a more fundamental psychology.
Right. It's not as developed. It's not as, they're not as aware of how things really are to be behaving so childishly and small.
They don't
But
exactly.
I really, a lot of the people who picked on me in grade
tell us
school.
What was your first?
Well,
what was it all like?
To the point that you were saying, and I'll address that in a second. But to the point that you were saying, where you no longer feel bad for them. Mine is, a lot of the people who picked on me live horrible lives now, and I don't know what the quality of their life was when they were picking on me.
Right.
Who cares? But they're living horrible lives now, and I am. And everyone I surround myself with are living an incredible life. I don't know what other universes consist of, but I think this is one of our best lives. And I'm so lucky to be here. And the more fortunate my life is, the less I resent the people who wiped their ass with my feelings. And it does help. It does help relieve a lot of the pain, but. Yeah, I think when people pick on you in school, they just have no concept of how that's going to ripple through you and how long you're going to.
It's a hard thing to have a perspective on, and to expect someone like them to have a perspective on. It's like it's sort of just like it ends up being a fact of life. Right. That some bullying happens. Not that means like everyone just deal with it. Let's not do anything about it. Just that. Right. There are going to be problems. There are going to be nasty people in the world.
Always. Bullying exists not only in school is talked about the most because that's where the most fundamental elements of bullying are displayed. But bullying becomes...
You're least equipped to handle it.
Yeah, and I have to tell you got to keep equipping yourself because the older you get, the bullies become much more conniving and smart, and you don't even realize that those adult bullies we were just talking about, you got to go head to head with them eventually. Yeah. And that sucks because, in the workplace, bullies can be... quite you almost don't know they're being bullies.
Like if someone manipulative,
right?
Yeah.
If sorry to go back to my therapist, but he's been dropping pearls of wisdom on me all morning.
Hey,
this session, I really got my money's worth out of today's session. I'm not even kidding, because what he told me, I just lost my train of thought. What was I going to say? We were talking about workplace bullies.
Bullies get older.
No, that's what I was going to say. Everyone's going through something. There's this YouTube short film. It was incredible. It was this guy puts on. He hates everyone in the world. Everyone's such an asshole to him. But then he puts on these glasses and he looks at everyone, and over their head is like a caption that says like "ran away from home" or is going through a divorce or just lost his job yesterday, and it's like you have no idea what fuels, like you were saying, these bullies to. And the same thing goes for in the world of adults. It's like I don't know. You don't know what's pushing people, I guess, to.
Right. Because and there's a fine line between understanding someone the reasons for their behavior and accepting it as like this can continue, but no matter what, understanding is part of a good future moving forward.
It's a very enlightening. I just remembered what the therapist told me. He said, and these were so wise. He said, if anyone ever makes you, so I was talking about adult bullies and how sometimes you can't tell if they're a bully because bullying can be masked in all kinds of forms. And he says, if anyone ever makes you feel like you're worth less. Not worthless, but you're worth less. Right. If anyone makes you feel inferior, even if you don't think they're a mean person, if they just make you feel less about yourself, stop it and question it and think, do they deserve to be in my life? And that is a very powerful thing because I have had people, just like teachers or just anyone throughout life who were just really just made me feel like shit, but I loved them. And I liked being around them. They were nice. But ultimately, they would have ways of reminding me that I was less than them. And that's really scary to watch out for because those are very dominant personalities and they exist out there. And Jonathan and I have I remember with several... Well, I don't want to say...
We both know that we've had experiences with that.
Yes.
That's a great, simple, understandable, and very true metric.
Yeah,
they make you feel that you're worth less.
Worth less.
Get them out of there.
If you feel like whoever you're talking to isn't an equal to you, or if you feel like they you're less than them, then question: is it what they're doing or saying that's making me feel this way? Is it something that they're doing? Because sometimes you can place that feeling. Sometimes I've walked up to people and been like, I'm trash compared to you. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of it can be in your head. But really, if it's what they're saying or doing.
If it's in your head, you don't get them out of there if it's you.
That's another important thing. That's another important thing that
But if it is them, get them out of there.
Get them out of your life, yeah. And really, because I never questioned until recently that just deserving to be in other people's lives. I've been banished from other people's lives, and that sucks when you get banished from someone else's life.
Interesting.
But then you have to think that means that their life is worth being in because you feel that loss of like, oh, they kicked me out. That means that their being in their life must have. So it's the same thing the other way around. And I never thought about that. Like people do and don't deserve to be in my life too. Mm-hmm. And I never really thought that. And so with bullies, just know a flat out bully, of course, does not deserve to be in your life. But some people, are manipulative and will make you feel like shit. And those are the people you should question, should they be in my life or should they deserve to be in my life this much, or to where they can make me feel this way.
Can I ask you guys if you've ever dealt with this, like, in the business that you guys do? So for me with wrestling, for bullying, let's say I've had many different promoters I've had to deal with where they try to make you seem like you're less, like you're not as good to get a certain price.
Okay.
Right? And so...
like you're not as profitable as others.
Let's say they want me to come wrestle. I'll just say, give me $100. Right. And they're like, oh, but you're
Jesus.
this.
They're talking you down from that?
You would be surprised. But no, that's just an example. But then they try to give you $50 and they'll try to make you feel like you're so not like worth $100 or whatever. Right. And so, for me, I've had to deal with that. Like certain people have given me opportunities. And at a certain point, these people try to take advantage of the opportunities they gave you. And so they're trying to because the whole point of wrestling is you want to keep growing and stuff. And so your fee is going to grow with you. Right. And so, but then, I don't know, it's just...
They try and say, well, it's so, like when you're Bart...
it's interesting. Using bullying as a negotiating tactic.
Yeah. It's almost like, and correct me if this simile is very off, but it's like... When you're trying to trade in a car and someone's like, oh, but it's got scratches here. It's you want to, oh, but it's got this. It's like now you're just making me feel bad about. Yeah, now it's like you're just making me feel like I have a shit car and you're trying to dick me out of a
Except now the car is my body and apparently I have a shit body.
It's your body. And you know what? He doesn't have a shit body, ladies and gentlemen. And
he unzips his pants and is like,
that's right, I done it, baby.
Yeah, he says the wiener matches the body. But yeah, that is a very unique, distinct form of bullying. It comes in all forms.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that the part of the answer to that, and this, now that I'm about to say it, it feels like it applies to a lot, is you just have to know your worth.
Yeah.
You have to know your 100%. Worth. Regardless, you know that your worth, especially isn't dependent on what they say.
I've had to part ways with many companies, because they still don't see me as this new person that I feel like I'm worth as. I'm not, this isn't 2015 anymore, this is 2019. And sometimes you just got to walk away from people regardless if they're friends or, the history you guys have. Sometimes you're not meant to have more history with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And so sometimes you shouldn't have more history with, and I don't know. I always talk about being bullied just because I think that a lot of my viewers can relate to. In fact, on a panel this weekend, bullying came up. I didn't even bring it up. Someone else brought it up. And I'm thinking fish for podcast topics, fishing for podcast. I knew we were doing, and
we were already doing it.
Right. And I'm hearing them talk about it, and I just, I don't know. I just asked the audience. I was like, "How many people here have been bullied?" And everyone raised their hand.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, half the audience had colored hair. So it's
and it's so weird. It's like you're bullied one set of every 1,000 interactions or something, or less than that or something. But the point is, it doesn't have to. It's not even necessarily a lot. It's just but the times that it did were hugely effective.
My particular audience, when I see them at show, I have the Hot Topic crowd, and that's who I was when I was in school.
Yeah.
I had colored hair. I was dressing in the weirdest, blackest, metalist things that I could throw on my body. And
the Hot Topic crowd was one of the most likely crowds to accept a new person, by the way.
Yeah, and the most likely crowds to get picked on, and the most likely crowd.
That's also true.
And the most likely crowd to not give a fuck, which I liked because they would just kind of whatever, we are weird and we like it, and what else you got? Yeah. And I was always drawn to that, and so I love that. That's who a lot of who listens to this show, and I wish that I had someone who was like a future me back then to tell me some of these things. Because
that's you right now. Someone else is you right now.
And I feel because when I was a kid, there was no one was talking about bullying like they do now. They weren't. When I was a kid, we didn't talk about it in school. Never. And it was it really was the golden age to be a bully. If you were a bully, the world was in your favor. And if you were a bully, you would have done so well at my school. I would have been just another thread in your red carpet to strut down because there was almost no consequence for bullies. Even the gym teachers at my school were bullies.
Yes, they were.
I remember, because I was a fat kid and I was always lagging behind when we would run. And I remember the gym teacher, we had a square field. I want to say it was a quarter mile I don't know, whatever.
Right.
It was a square field, and we would have to run 4 laps was a mile. Right. Yeah, so it was a quarter mile. And every day the gym teacher, he's a fucking character, I swear to God. He would stand in the middle of the field with his megaphone and just shout things at people as they ran. He would stand in the middle of the square and just shout things at people as they... And I remember... And they weren't mean things necessarily. He would just be like, come on, 1 more lap left, Jensen, 1 more lap left, you got this, da-da-da. Just kind of just generic gym teacher things.
Positive stuff?
Yeah, I was thinking this was going to take a turn.
Yeah. And then, but he would have little zingers for the people that because he kind of jabbed at the people who underperformed, but I didn't try to underperform. I just wasn't a good runner. And so he would look at me, and I just remember if I would ever pass anyone, he would be like, "Come on, Rogers is passing you."
Oh my God, fuck you.
And I'm just like, what the now and I have to keep running. I don't feel like running because I'm just being made fun of.
Right.
And it's do I
and
feel...
everyone's like, fuck Rogers. I got to pass him. You're the slowest one, Rogers. You understand?
Right. And so I always hated that. And of course, the other kids in PE would pick up. And PE was the class I was picked on the most because that's where my differences shine the most. I remember, and I want to say I talked about this on the podcast. If I haven't, it's one of the most traumatic stories of my life. But when I was in the 11th grade, they weighed all of us back to back, the whole class. They were they weighed us at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year. And I don't remember if this was... Yeah, it must have been at the beginning. They weighed me, and I was like a kid. I weighed 160. I weighed as much as I weigh
right now
as an 11-year-old. And they called me 160 throughout the entire... Or 168, whatever the exact thing. But they would just say, 160 as I'd walk by. That was my nickname for the at least the first semester of that year. And so the gym team, I don't know, I just associated athletics and just the whole world of, gym coaches and football and just as this antagonistic.
Thanks for identifying and labeling me as this.
Yeah, thank you. And then you go in the locker room and what do I hear? The guys ripping out pages from their mom's lingerie magazines. I want to fuck pussy someday, man. I'm going to fuck this pussy. fuck this pussy, man, I can't wait. And I just hear this shit in the locker room from like 11-year-olds and 12. That's right. Fucking kids say this, and I forget that because when I'm at that age, I'm thinking, oh, those are my peers. Now as an adult, I'm like, that was a fucking 10-year-old saying, oh, fuck that pussy. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, kids are vile creatures. But anyways, the point I'm trying to make is that between the locker room, the gym coach, the field and running and being slow and weighing me, and people ask why I don't get excited about the fucking Super Bowl. It's like I was antagonized so much as a kid by that whole. Anything near the gym just hated me for some reason, which is ironic because I'm one of the few people out of all my friends I know who actually enjoys going to the gym. And I look at or at least friends from Livermore, and I look back and they're all so overweight now. The kids who used to like excel in front, on the field, and they're just disgusting. And I hope they hear this because they live disgusting lives with their ugly fucking bearded children and their fucking beer wives and and it's like, that's what I wanted to be. Like those are the shoes I wanted to be in at the time. Anyways, this was a very long tangent. I didn't let either of you talk for all that.
Resolution, like, wow.
Yeah, it is a resolution, and it's also what drives me to do what I do now. Even today, sometimes if I need an extra push, I'll kind of like tickle my memories to go back in the day and be like, remember what it was like to feel worthless, and now look where I am. And then I get the motivation to keep going, and I'm like, okay. And
well, I can't say that's all healthy, but it's working. It's working, dog.
I think it's healthy to like remember the people who doubted you, for sure. I mean, or at least keep in mind that you were doubted, and just
keep a large perspective on your journey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like how far you've come, and how the obstacle and how people saw you. You know, like many of us, people saw us as people who couldn't, make it as far as we have, and I don't know. It's good to remember that now when people doubt us, because there's always going to be something you want to do. No matter how successful you are, there's always another horizon. And there's always someone there to make you feel like you can't reach it.
That's very true.
And so it's like I guess what I'm trying to say is it's good to remember,
if that person's yourself.
Especially if that person's yourself. And that was one of my biggest demons of 2018. And I think I talked about it a few times on the podcast, was that my biggest bully in my current adult life was myself, because I'm constantly I'm like a vulture on my own shoulder, just telling myself, "Ooh, do you really want to do that? I don't think you'd be very good at that. I don't think that you're very good at this either. Maybe don't do it. Maybe do what you're good at so you don't fail and embarrass yourself." Right. And it's like, that's bullying in a way, because you're just putting me down. When really, and not to go back to my therapist, but he's like, look how much you're capable of doing when you just silence that vulture, and you're just like, shut up, I'm going to do. And you do. I mean, when I was in high school, we used to break into like the grocery stores that would be closed down, where the meth houses and stuff. We would hang out, and I would have to climb through these 8-foot high windowsills with nothing to brace yourself on to get in. And I remember looking at these buildings, it's impossible for me to get in there. I can't get. And then my friend would go. He was like this parkour guy. He would just do it, and I would follow him, and then realize I did do it. I could do it. It looked impossible for me to scale that wall, but I did it, because I saw my friend do it before me, and I didn't want to be left out by myself. And so I feel like the bully in your head just has zero concept of really what you are capable, even though it's yourself, and you should know what you're capable of doing. I feel like that voice is always going to be... And again, that panel this weekend is a big theme. Just, not listening to that voice, the bullying thing, just like, don't let them influence how you feel about yourself, but also don't let yourself influence what you think you're capable of. Sammy is one of the biggest bullies I know, but not to himself.
Right. No, it's funny that you say that, because, with my vlogs and all that, for a long time I was super self-conscious. I got it right. Normally I say subconscious, but that isn't. Self-conscious about doing them, for no reason in my head. I would tell myself, like, oh, don't pull out the camera. Someone's going to make fun of you for talking to a camera,
Right.
Just dumb stuff. But, now I just learned to stop giving a fuck about what strangers think of me.
Yeah, right.
They're strangers.
So that's a
why do I
strength,
care?
I would also like to say to that point, because I got me thinking about something. I think it's healthy to have confidence that drives you to do great things. I think it's very, very healthy to silence the voice that doubts that train of thought. But there are some people who I just would like to throw it out there. While we are encouraging this, some of you need the opposite, because some of you need a voice in your head that says, maybe I shouldn't make a scene in this restaurant. Maybe I shouldn't let my tits fall out. Maybe I shouldn't let my... And because I know a lot of people who I'm like, that voice in your head, that vulture, you need a louder one.
Can we cut this to a scene of you just running through a grocery store or something?
Yeah, I know, right?
Right, there are many times when Brandon needed that voice.
I know. I need that voice on a daily sometimes. But I think, it's important to have because that voice ultimately does have your best interest in mind, believe it or not. That voice is there for your own, protection.
But that voice has its own psychology.
It has its own psychology.
It's been bullying itself, which is
right. It has its own culture,
which it was bullying. Yeah.
Anyways, as much as we're showing you the A and B and the goods and bads, pros and cons, I'm sure you get the point we're making, in that there is no right or wrong answer to the mentality that you have on yourself in regards to bullying and confidence. It's just know the fine line to walk between being an obnoxious person and a victim, or whatever. How do you think bullying today is versus bullying when we were kids? I'm not in school, so I don't know how it is, but I feel like it's definitely more talked about now. Am I wrong?
It does seem more talked about.
It's changed. It changed from so much in school to now online. That's what I see. Because I have
100%.
I have a younger sister, or half sister, but she deals with bullying online people because she's a little bit heavier.
Yeah.
And she dyed her hair like black, and people commenting on her Instagram and stuff. Just online bullying is now like the thing.
Oh yeah, that's the thing.
Seems like bullying has both been expanded and shifted.
Yeah.
So that's just more interactions have just shifted. But yeah.
Well, it's
Yaelin, you're beautiful. Just know that.
Yes, that's right. Yaelin.
Yeah.
Yaelin is
Yaelin,
very
you're beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous. No, there's no consequence with that kind of bullying. It's like you leave it has no water off my ass crack.
Yeah.
Like it's just I don't need to.
The duck's ass.
So how do you deal with this? How do you deal with it?
Exactly.
Not to say that we ever have.
I'm always going to sing the praises of distractions. Personally, that doesn't really. It can solve the problem depending on what you distract yourself with. If it's a healthy thing, I suppose. Right now,
it feels like fundamentally you want to undermine its power. It's like, one, that's not true. You have to know that about yourself, that you're more valuable. You have to know that they're full of shit, that they're dealing with their own shit, and that's part of what the understanding of their perspective does. It doesn't make anything okay. It just helps you invalidate their behavior.
Yeah,
and its effect on you.
I think also a big thing, and this is only to those who are lucky enough to be able to alter this about themselves, just where you live, not just where, but who you're living with, the culture that you're living in, the surroundings that you're in, I think is a very, very big, I felt a lot less bullied when I moved to LA. I felt a lot less bullied when I graduated high school, and I felt a lot less bullied when I started working a job and no one knew who I was there. And then I moved to LA and no one knew who I was here. And yet
it's a great point. It gets better.
It gets better and better. And I think that changing your location does so much. And it's like, I hear about all these suicides that kids, I'm just like, how many of these kids wouldn't have killed themselves if they just spent a month somewhere else and got their perspective changed a little bit?
And felt loved and were around people that loved them.
And that can change just from location of where you live to just the people you hang around. Change your location of where you feel this way for some reason.
We don't understand how much our outside...
Find your people.
Find your people. That's a big one. Because I for instance, when I was in high school, senior year, I was fortunate enough to find a group that understood me, and that was that did wonders for me, because it didn't matter what the bully said. I had my 4 best friends that we were in a band together. We had our own world together. We didn't need the approval of anyone else. And I think that's a very important thing.
Much easier to invalidate some dumbass dissing you, and you're like, no, we all love what we have. It's amazing.
And even if it does hurt your feelings, fuck them. Like, you have each other, And that just meant so much. So finding your people is a big one because there is strength in numbers. And when you do feel like an outcast, it's hard to feel like an outcast when you have 3 or 4 really close people to you who are also like you. And so that helps a lot. And even now, and this doesn't have much to do with bullying, but just changing your surroundings. Like when I have writer's block, when I am depressed, when I am angry, I go for a walk, and I have to force myself to go for walks. I don't feel like leaving the house. I don't feel like going outside. But as soon as I go outside, I am stimulated by things I didn't expect would be there. People that walk by that I didn't expect I'd see, or a pop-up store, or anything that just my mind can focus on to get me thinking differently. You have no idea what changing your surroundings can do until you do it.
That's such great advice. And it's a small choice. You can just do a tiny choice.
Small choice.
Tiny good choice.
I think what holds us back is that we tend to think, oh yeah, well if I did go for a walk, it would be like this, and I wouldn't like it. You kind of start predicting what it's going to be like if I did move to Los Angeles, if I did do this, then it would be like this and whatever. But no, do it. It won't be like that because you have no idea what it's going to be like. I did think I know what moving to LA was going to be like, and it was so much better. Everything. When I was a kid, my mom would say, all right, let's go to Costco. You don't have a choice. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to Costco. But then here I am in Costco looking at everything and eating all the samples. I'm like, oh my God, I don't want. It's like we don't know what that's going to be like to change our environment because we haven't done it yet. And so it's like, right now, after we're done with this podcast, I promised Sammy while he's in town, I was going to take him to a trampoline park. I don't want to fucking do that right now.
Yeah.
What?
You want to come?
I have spoken about the trampoline park.
Where we literally
we'll talk about this later.
Right.
Jonathan, it turns out he does listen to me when I'm talking because he heard that, I guess. But the fact of the matter is,
you're gonna have a great time, Sammy.
Little tear falls out.
Tell me how it was.
I could fill a bottle with however many tears I've seen Jonathan cry out. No, the fact of the matter is, changing your environment, whether that's the people you're around, the place you're at, whatever. That I think I have to say is for me the biggest thing to combat bullying because it is a form of distraction. It's you
have to go take care of yourself. You know.
Yeah. And you also have to lose the value of the bully's opinion on you because we do value, as much as we don't like to say we do, I think a lot of us do value the opinions of even our bullies because they are valid opinions, even though they like it's a person's opinion on you. Otherwise, and so I think to detach yourself from that scale of worth because the bully is placing a scale of worth. They're saying you're not here and this is good by our standards. And now you're like, well, I'm not good by that standard. If I had my own set of standards when I was in middle school, high school, and people picked on me, those words would have just bounced off of like a duck's hole.
That's the same.
This duck he's deep in it.
This duck is getting penetrated from every hole. But
yeah, you have to invalidate that scale, and you're saying like work against it because it's like even the degree to which you say, okay, that doesn't matter. It's not negatively affecting me. Maybe there's something residual that you should address, in how you feel. It's like, and so you need to go do something positive to fucking negate the rest of that evil influence in your life.
Also, I think what you were saying about the scale that they're putting on you. Why do we care so much about these other people's opinions? I feel like it's the wiring or something growing up where we value so much these other people's thoughts or these negative thoughts. But really, at the end of the day, it's whatever makes you happy. We all end up dead, right? Everybody's gonna die.
Oh,
word.
Yes. That is. Thank you for saying that because there was this. I feel like I already talked about that. I always say that. I repeat a lot of things, and guys, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Now it's in a new context. It's basically a whole new thing.
Basically a whole thing, and this is. I don't care what context I might have said this before, but this is the context it belongs most in. And I hope I say it better this time. But they did a study where I guess and I read this on the internet. It was years ago.
You don't need to qualify it. Hit us.
But it was a study of old people on their deathbed. It had like a week left to live, and they interviewed all these people, and they asked them all the same question: what do you regret most in your life? Having here at full hindsight, pretty much.
Tough question to answer. Yeah.
Tough question to answer, and a very, very interesting answer to hear from people who have valid perspectives. And the most common answer, surprisingly, was, I wish I had spent less time trying to be someone who made other people happy. That was the biggest. I wish I had, or just generically speaking, I wish I had spent more time making myself happy rather than trying to make other people happy.
Right.
And a lot of what they were implying, or a lot of what that was leaning toward, was just being someone that they weren't. And how many of us do that? We all do that. Everyone does that. A lot of us grow out of it, or some of us change ways, or at least become aware of it. But I mean, we spend so much time living lives that are not our best because we think that's what other people want. And I gotta tell you something. As much as you think people love you, no one really gives a fuck. Like, no one really cares. Like, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You're trying to be this person that you think people love. People love authenticity. That's what I learned from that clown workshop. People, I was doing a character so much in that clown workshop, and a lot of this workshop was learning how to bomb and learning when you aren't funny. And the teacher would say, like, stop being in character. And here I am thinking I'm stopping being in character, but like I'm still subconsciously on my face trying to be clever, trying to be witty. I'm still seeing a character. Just stop it. Stop. And I just stopped it. And then he's looking at my serious face, my true, emotionless, I'm not even trying to make you laugh face. I'm just deadpan. And he says, the audience can tell when you're being genuine. And I think that applies to everyone. I think that I respect, I almost respect people I disagree with more if they are confident in their views than someone who timidly represents something that I agree with and is cowardly to talk about it. Like it's I think that it's important to we are people that we want the rest of the world to be, and the bullies feed off of that. Like it's like when they tell you you're worthless, it's like they know you want to be something else, or they know that they're preying on something that's there, and I don't know. I think don't buy into that, and have your own scale of worth, and don't be on your deathbed wishing you how many more years are you going to waste trying to make this meaningless person who's really going to live a shitty life? Look at the people who picked on me. It gets worse for them. Make them happy. You don't want to waste years making those kind of people happy. The people you want to waste years making happy are bosses, or anyone who's going to give you money or sex or food. Make those people happy. But most of all, make happy the people who love you and care about who you are as a human being.
Word.
And I think that it's it's a very strong skill set and a very valuable skill to have, to realize the good people in your life who aren't bullies, and to recognize them from the bad ones.
Fuck those people.
And fuck them.
Oh, but
find them and fuck them.
I was gonna say, how many times has anybody come up from your past that maybe used to bully you and now is like proud of you? Or
yes,
yeah, I've had that happen.
That's a wonderful
so much.
thing.
What a weird thing.
Yeah,
yeah. I actually, the guy that I dated. Did I tell you about the Russian guy that I dated? It was like 3 years ago. It was like right before I met him.
But
when we were dating, kind of dating, and but I didn't want to make it official, and we were in an Uber. It was in the middle of February, 3 a.m. We're in an Uber back to drop me off at my place, and he got upset at me because I didn't want to make it official, and so he tells the driver calmly, because his Uber, he said, "Excuse me, can you pull over right here?" And he gets out of the car, my ex, and walks around, opens my door. He says, "You can get the fuck out and walk home." My phone's dead, by the way. My phone's completely dead. I can't call an Uber. I am in a t-shirt and jeans, and I am on. I'm not going to tell you the cross streets, but it's at least a good mile and a half or so from where I live, and anyways, he recently,
that's pretty tantrumy.
He recently hit me. What was scary was that he did it deadpan. He looked at me like this scary, just
I better
deep.
Do this right now.
Yeah.
And he hit me up. I want to say like a couple weeks ago, very recently. And it's just very, very heartfelt apology. Like, I think about it all the time, and I think about how and I think that, and he's not the only one. I've had other people. There's a girl from the second grade, apologize. A bully from the second grade apologized to me at a bar a couple years ago. It's like these bullies, they don't forget. They don't forget. They remember just as much as you do, probably, because it's like, you don't just make someone's life horrible and then walk away from it, dust your hands off, and be like, "Oh, that was That was fun. That was lunch.
Yeah. Sorry, I was thinking about this earlier too, and about that, and it's like yes, they are going to deal with that, and it's also something like be very careful with the way you treat people. Make sure that you don't even accidentally bully someone. Like you, like not just for their sake, but like it will hurt you later. Like you'll be haunted. You'll like wake up and be like, oh.
Do you really want to be the worst version of yourself in someone else's consciousness? Like, it's like, because we're all different people in other people's minds. Do you want to be a shitty person? And how many people's minds do you want to be a shitty person?
It's funny that you say that because, whenever my mom was going through her second divorce and I was acting out, probably didn't know how to deal with any of that. I used to, it was a formable, and I used to be just a complete asshole to this girl who like loved me at the time, 13, whatever. And, years later, I just thought, man, I'm so shitty for all that happening. And I apologized to her, I would say like the meanest shit to her just because I didn't know how to deal with my own problems. And I took it out on her. And, the bullies definitely remember. I remember that, and I just,
Right. We've all had our moments where we weren't the greatest version of ourselves, and it hurt us too. Yeah. It hurt the people first and foremost.
And not to make excuses by saying the divorce thing. Like, I was being a shitty person. Like, that's on me.
Right.
That's really...
But that's good. That's wise of you and good of you to be sorry.
I just want to say, since my shit stinks as well. I've been a bully also, and I know we're wrapping this, but I gotta add this addendum. But when I was in high school, I can't even say her name. I'm not going to say her name because
her first, last, and middle.
Oh God, I never bullied her to her face, and this is the first time I've actually openly admitted that. I never brought this girl up, but I forgot until now. All 4 years of high school, this girl had scoliosis, and I would make jokes about her with my friends, and then I drew pictures of this character I made up based off of her with this twisted girl that was like and we just explored every way to parody her, and I have felt so bad about that. Every time I see her on Facebook, she's beautiful too, and she's like all fixed now, and she's all, or I don't know, she doesn't look the same anymore. But like every time I see her, I think about, and she has no clue that I did this, and I hope to God she's not listening to this because she will definitely know now. But I feel even talking about it so bad about it. Every time I see her, I just like my heart breaks, and I'm like, God. I mean, thank God I didn't say anything to her face. I didn't, But, like, the fact that I still had that mentality, like, I was just one outburst away from being a full-on bully. That's all I was. I just didn't say anything to her, but I still did. It's almost worse behind your back. It's like, it makes you, that's probably why I have so many, like, I'm so fucked up in my head with like, delusions of what people think about me.
Word.
Really, I'm pretty sure I've talked about that on the podcast, just how my whole mental struggle of, I do suffer from like delusional opinions of others. Mm-hmm. Like I always think people hate me and they're always making fun of me. And it's like, well, I know that because I did that to someone, and like she should have had that awareness about me, or I should have this awareness about other people. And
that's like what we mentioned earlier when what you put out is what you receive too.
Exactly. And this is a very spot on thing. And so, if you are listening to this, I can't even put into words how sorry I am, but I know I'm not alone. I know we've all done it. I know we've all made fun of people, whether or not it's to their face, or it's just what humans do. So just,
it underscores you're totally right. It underscores the importance of like on both sides of it. Like the only thing that's sustainable and good is treating people with respect.
Yeah.
Everything else causes the person and you pain, and it's destructive to a harmonious, beautiful world. Treat people with respect.
It's destructive to the person inflicting it. Like she has no clue. She probably doesn't even know my name. And yet here I am, knowing her name, remembering everything I said about her, like tearing myself up over it for years and years. And it's like, that stuff eats probably, just as much.
As soon as this thing airs, she's going to out you. She's going to be like, I'm that kid.
God,
get some healing done.
But
like she healed her back.
I hate ending it on this note, but really, like, I just don't want people to think that my shit don't stink either.
Yeah.
Like, I think that I know that I've been a bully in the past. I had a little brother. I mean, he might listen to this, and he knows. I mean, I've apologized to him in my adult life. Like, I feel terrible because he's a smart, brilliant guy. I'm embarrassed that I was so mean to him growing up, because now this brilliant guy is out there in the world of memories of who I really, like, acted like as a kid when I didn't get my way, and I'd take it out on my little brother. Like, that, it's I don't know.
I think that's a very important thing to reiterate. It's like, by the way, like, here's how to deal with bullies and stuff. By the way, don't be a bully.
Yeah, don't be one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, exactly. Because I don't care how much of a victim you think you are. You probably were a bully at one point in your life.
It's a little slip, you know.
Maybe it might not.
Perfect.
Might not even. And sometimes, yeah, like you said, you can bully without even knowing you're being a bully. So I don't know. Just be aware of what you say can impact someone for the rest of their life, and you don't even know it. I mean, there have been little quips that people just, throwaway lines of dialogue that kids would say at me when I was on the playground that have stabbed my heart and soul consistently for the rest of my life. So just be careful with what you say. And also, when people say it, remember, just water up a duck's ass.
Water up a duck's ass.
Just whenever anyone is mean to you, water up a duck's ass. Guys, I want to thank one last time Sammy Guevara. Thank you so much for being with us. The best ever.
You guys are welcome for having me.
Do you have any last bits of advice for the people listening to this show?
Yeah, we talked for like an hour?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have just wrapped this up in about 1 minute. Don't be a bully.
That's it.
No, honestly, just for me, like what you were saying earlier, the friends thing. Find your group, and that will help you get through it. Just finding someone that can relate or you can talk to. Don't keep it bottled up inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I have Jonathan here to talk to when Sammy makes me feel like shit.
Dude, apparently you didn't invite him to the trampoline thing. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little.
I'm in the D house, the dog house. Well, that sounds way worse for you to breathe it.
House, buddy.
Anyways, guys, I hope you have a great time, and just remember, next time you get bullied,
Fuck 'em.
Fuck 'em.
Duck's ass.
Duck's ass.